Hi everybody, welcome back to Get Your Play Online. I'm really glad that y'all are joining us and that you're here for Circus Week. Alright, I'm just going to introduce myself again in our intro in case the live wasn't quite ready for us. So welcome back to Get Your Play Online. We're so glad to see everybody here. It's a wonderful week for our different themes. So if you're new to Get Your Play Online, we're doing exciting new themes every single week of summer to help all of our viewers become engaged and to learn about different things. So this week is Circus Week. So with that, if you're going to be checking out some of the content on the page, you're going to see lots of different crafts and books and science experiments, and it's going to be all about circus stuff, which is going to be super, super cool. And so this show today is no different. We're also going to be working on a circus theme, but I wanted to welcome you all. I'm in my backyard again here in California. It's a little bit warm today. Let's see. It's about 90 degrees, so it's definitely warming up and we're starting to get into the summer months, which is super fun and exciting. So today you may be wondering, how are we going to do science about a circus? And that's a really good question, and I'm really glad you all are here to come check it out with me. And I'm going to walk you through a really fun and easy science experiment that we're going to do, and it's going to be all about trampolines. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to make our very own trampoline. Does anyone watching have a trampoline at home, or maybe go to a trampoline park where you get to jump inside and have a whole bunch of fun? So today we're going to see if we can test 4 different items to see which one's going to make the best trampoline. Instead of people though, we're going to use some balls and some marbles, because I don't think we could make one strong enough for a person to jump on. What do you think? So here's an example of what we're going to be making today. This is just a simple plastic container, has my name on it from a holiday we celebrated, and this is going to be one of our trampoline tarps that we're going to test out, but I'm going to walk everybody through all of our supplies before we get started. So, I don't know about you, but I love to laugh and I love to tell jokes, so I think it'd be really fun to start off our segment with a joke. I'm going to go ahead and grab it right here. So, I'm going to ask it, and if you have an idea of what the answer is, feel free to put it down in the comments. If you're using Mom or Dad's Facebook, make sure you ask their permission before you go ahead and do give us a comment. But, let's see. Why did the clown go to the doctor? Does anyone know? Does anyone have an idea? Let's see. It's because he was feeling a little funny. Oh, I think that's such a great joke. So funny, and it's perfect for our circus theme. So if you're new, this is my 3rd week of working here with Get Your Play Online, and I really like to talk about the scientific process, because I think being a scientist is really fun, because it allows you to play with different materials and make mistakes. And I know that sounds a little silly to say making mistakes is fun, but I promise you it's all part of being a scientist, and it's totally okay to be wrong. If you've watched some of my other videos, I've been wrong a few times, and that's okay. Being wrong is how you learn, and it's not always a negative thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start by going over all of my materials. So if you're watching at home and you'd like to participate right along with me, you can go ahead and grab those materials. So after that, we're going to go over what my hypotheses are and what a hypothesis is if you've never learned about it before. And then we're going to go ahead and get into our activity. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my supplies list. So I like to write it out. Makes it easy for everyone to follow along. So our first supply is a small bucket or a strainer. I actually brought 3 different containers that we may use throughout our video today. Also, we're going to need some tights. Tights are going to be one of the things we're going to try as our tarp. And we're also going to try tinfoil, saran wrap, and a plastic bag. Saran wrap might also be called plastic wrap. We're going to use a ball, a marble, and some tape. So it's really important to know that our supply list is just suggestions. This is a great opportunity for you as our viewer to go ahead and think of different things you want to try, and you may have a lot of them already at home. When I was planning this activity, I looked around my kitchen to see what I could use, and that's how I developed what I was going to test out. So I would challenge you to do the exact same thing. So it's okay if you don't have everything that we have. I challenge you to use your creativity to think about things you may have in your house that you could use. And if you do try something else, you could leave us a comment and let us know so other people can try those out as well. So let's go ahead and show you all of the materials. So like I said, the first thing is a small bucket or strainer. I'm actually going to use this small container. It's a square. Has my dad's name on it from a different thing we celebrated. We're going to try this because I've seen a lot of square trampolines, so I thought that might be a fun idea. And like I showed you earlier, we're going to use this green bucket. It's a little bit taller, so I'm wondering if it'll allow things to bounce better because it has more room to go down inside. And let's see, I'm going to put some of our other materials in here. And then I have this really shallow bowl. I actually made this bowl, it's a fun fact, in high school. I learned how to use a pottery wheel, and I made it and painted it all by myself. So we're going to use that because I think it'd be interesting to see if it'll work differently with a smaller bowl that's not so deep. Alright, I'll put that off to the side. We're also going to use tights. So these are what the tights I'm going to use look like. They're each leg is separated and it's very stretchy. So I think this might be replicating what a traditional trampoline tarp may be that you may see if you went to a circus. So we have that. Next we have tinfoil and saran wrap. So here's our saran wrap. If you're using this, you want to be very careful. Some saran wraps have a very sharp edge and you want to make sure you don't cut yourself while you're utilizing this material. And that goes the same for our tinfoil. So we're going to just use regular tinfoil you may have at your house. This is the sharp blade, so if you're one of our viewers that may be a little bit younger, you could ask mom or dad, or maybe your older sibling or a babysitter, whoever helps you out throughout the day, and they could help you cut that just to make sure your body stays nice and safe. And then let's see, our last thing we're going to test is our plastic bag right here. So I just grabbed a regular old gallon-sized Ziploc bag. You don't have to have one with a zip on the top. Like I said, this is a great material that you can test to see how it's going to work. You can either open up the bag and stretch it over your item. You can also cut it carefully and then tape it if your item's a little bit larger, or simply just stretch it over the top like this. But we're going to go ahead and touch on that a little bit later, and I'll walk you through that whole process. Next, we have a ball and a marble. So let's see where that ran off to. I'm going to use one ball. It's a little bit bigger and it's kind of squishy. I was wondering if a squishy ball would influence the way our experiment worked. I think that might be a fun idea to test. And then I have a little marble. I actually have a few of them. We might test out a couple different ones throughout to see if the different weights of them actually influence our success. Pour our materials back in there so that they're all ready. Alright friends, so if this is your first time watching a video with me, you may not know, but I like to talk about hypothesis or hypotheses, because I think it's a really fun part about being a scientist. And so a hypothesis is what I like to call a guess. You can think about your experiment and say, I wonder what will happen. If you're thinking about that, you're actually making a hypothesis, which is really cool, because that's how scientists learn about all different parts of our world. That's how they learn about different medicines that we can use to help people feel better when they're sick. It helps us learn about how to make things like cars work better and all sorts of stuff. So if you're thinking like that, you're thinking like a scientist, and that is super, super cool. So like I touched on in the beginning of our video, it's okay to be wrong. It's totally okay. It's kind of fun to be wrong because it means you're thinking, and then when something goes wrong, you know, maybe this didn't work, but I could try it this way. And so that's what I want to challenge you all to do, is to not get super frustrated if things don't go right the first time. That's totally okay. It happens to me all the time. So let's go over with what I think is going to happen in our project today. So my first hypothesis is that I think the ball will fly the highest when we use the tights. I think the tights are going to just make the ball go higher up into the air. So we'll go ahead and test that. I think the plastic bag won't cause the ball or the marble to fly very high because it's not very stretchy, but I'm not sure, so we'll go ahead and look. And then I think the ball will always bounce a little bit lower than the marble since the marble is lighter. So I think since it's a little bit lighter, it'll go higher up in the air because there's not as much weight to cause it to go down. So I think we should go ahead and start testing these. What do you all think? All right, perfect. So I think I'm going to start with the green bucket. And let's go in line. Let's test our tights first. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out one of our tights here. Like I said, they're very, very stretchy. And I'm going to open it up from the end. And if you're doing this at home, you may need help from a friend or a parent because it can be a little hard to stretch it over the top of your bucket. I'm going to go ahead and just move the camera down a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going to carefully stretch it over the top of the bucket. This would be a really convenient time to have a buddy to help you out. And once it's over the top, I'm going to pull it and kind of pull this extra over to the edge and tuck it underneath. So now you can see we have a nice stretched top that's nice and firm. So I think I want to test our marble before I test our ball. So to do this, I'm going to back up the camera a little bit and move it up so that you can see the ball bouncing. I'm going to just do a little test to see how it works. Let's see. Whoa! That worked really, really well. Let me drop it a little higher. Gotta watch where the ball goes. That is really cool. Let's try it a little bit higher. You're not even going to be able to see my hand. It's going to be so tall. Let's see. Wow, that worked really well. I'm not so sure if it's going to work as well with the ball. The reason being is the ball is going to have a lot more gravity working on it. So gravity is what allows us as humans to stay on the earth without floating away into space. Gravity helps things stay down on the ground, and it is what causes things to just drop when you let go of them. So I think since there's going to be more gravity, it's going to cause this to push further down, which means it's not going to bounce as high. Should we try it? All right, let's go ahead and try. I'm going to start nice and low. Let's see. Oh, it worked. Let's try again. We'll do it a little bit higher. I don't think it's bouncing as high as our marble did. Let's try it one more time. You're not going to be able to see my hand. It's going to be that tall. Whoa! It worked. I thought it might not have worked, so I'm really excited that that did work. Let's see. Let's look at hypothesis number 1. So my hypothesis was that the ball will fly higher with the tights. We're going to have to go back and revisit that after we test our other mediums. And let's see. We haven't tested our plastic bag yet. But let's see, my third hypothesis is that the ball will go lower than a marble, and I think for this one, that may be true. But we're going to go ahead and have to test our other ones. So let's see, what's next? Next is our tin foil. I'm not so sure how well this one's going to work, but I think for this one I want to test out our square trampoline. So, we're going to go ahead and very carefully take our tin foil, cut a little bit, and rip it. I kept my fingers nice and far away from that blade to make sure I didn't get cut. And now I'm going to stretch it over top. I'm going to go ahead and move the camera so you all can see. Stretch that over the top so that it's nice and tight. It's kind of like wrapping up a cake or brownie. So I'm going to try to make sure the corners are nice and tight. Alright. So here is our trampoline. Does anyone have an idea what might happen with this one? Because I'm not so sure that this is going to work. I have a feeling that our marble might poke a hole right through the tinfoil because it doesn't feel very bouncy. Go ahead and take a look. See? Doesn't seem like it was bouncing. My finger just kind of rests on top. Whereas when I tried it with the tights, it kind of had a little bounce. See? Let's compare the two. I'll move this out of the way. So we have this one. My finger bounces. You can see how the material stretches and then pushes it back up. But the tinfoil doesn't. It kind of sounds almost like a drum. So let's see. We have the bouncy one and the not so bouncy one. So I just created a hypothesis right in the middle of the video. When you heard me say, I wonder, that was a hypothesis. Just because I didn't write it down doesn't mean it's not a good one to test. And it just shows that I'm able to think about things as we're going along, and that's what I challenge you all to do. So, without any further ado, I think we should try our marble. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move you. I know it's almost like you guys are on an amusement park ride with all the camera movement, but I want to make sure we're able to talk and test our hypotheses. Alright, so I'm going to go nice and low for the first test, and we're going to see if it bounces. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I saw a little tiny bit of a bounce, but it didn't really bounce as high as it did when we used the tights. I wonder if we pull it up a little bit higher and drop it from a higher distance if it will bounce. Let's try it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. See? Again, it just was a little tiny bounce, but it didn't break through the bottom, which was my original hypothesis, but I wonder if I bring it up even higher and do one more test if that might happen. Let's give it a try. I'm going to hold it up really, really high. You're not going to be able to see it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, man. So it didn't look like it broke through, but it didn't look like it bounced too much either. So I'm thinking my hypothesis about the foil not being stretchy enough may have been correct. But I think we should try it with this squishy ball. The squishy ball is a lot heavier than our marble, so I'm thinking this might poke a hole through our foil. Should we give it a try? Alright, once again I'm going to move our camera down so you can take a look. So I'm going to try to stretch the foil back out to make sure it's nice and tight. And press all the edges down. All right, we're going to go ahead and drop it from a very low distance. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoa. That only did a little bounce, but it did a lot of damage to the top of our tinfoil. As you can see, it's no longer flat. So it definitely shows us that gravity was working, but it was almost working too well for this material. It wasn't giving us any bounce. But I want to try and challenge it and see if I can put it a little bit higher, if it might poke through. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, that one bounced. It also made a bigger indent in our foil. So it looks like the gravity pushed the ball further down into the foil, which caused the foil to become a little tighter down at the bottom. And that's what allowed the ball to bounce, because it took away the other gravitational forces that weren't allowing it to bounce earlier. I want to try one more time and put it up super, super high and see if it'll bounce. Should we try it? I think we should. So I'm going to hold it up so, so high, and I'm going to drop it in 3, 2, 1. Whoa! My goodness. You can see that big dent it made, but once again, it didn't break through the top. I'm very surprised. Did anyone else think it might have broken through the tinfoil? I didn't think it was going to be strong enough not to cause a hole to rip into it, but I guess I was wrong. Like I said, it's okay to be wrong. It's part of being a scientist. And because of this, we can make adjustments. So my adjustment is, instead of trying this tin foil again, I think I want to try the plastic bag and see if we have any better luck with that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the tights off of this container because I want to try the plastic bag with this one. I think it might work better. So we'll go ahead and move you down just a little bit, move some of our supplies out of the way, and get out our Ziploc bag. So we could put it over here and try to stretch it, but I want to see if it'll work if I can stretch it over the top. Let's see, I might have to make a small cut in the bag. Yep. So remember, friends, if you're going to use scissors, make sure you're being very careful. Or if you're one of our younger viewers, you could ask somebody at home to help to make sure you stay nice and safe. And it's always important to keep your fingers away from the end of your scissors. So with that little cut, I should be able to just slide the bag over the top. Ooh. This might also be a great opportunity to have a helper. It's always fun to do science with other people. Alright. There we go. I'm going to stretch it down as far as we can. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Looks like it's making my bin turn to a different shape. That's okay. Stretch it. Okay. So, looks like that is going to work pretty well for us. I'm going to stretch it down just a little bit further so I have a nice tight top. That looks pretty good to me. So, kind of stretched over the top, and this is going to be the portion of the bag that we're going to test. It's actually a lot more springy than I thought it was going to be. So let's see. I had a hypothesis about this one. I thought the plastic bag won't cause the ball to fly. I don't think it felt very stretchy, so I think it might have a hard time making the ball fly up into the air, but I think we should test it. Always important to test your hypotheses, and that's the fun part. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to find one of my marbles. Well, I'm going to use this one this time. See how pretty this one is? Kind of a white and orange color. So remember, if you don't have a marble at home, you could use maybe a bouncy ball or a rubber band ball, anything you have. It doesn't have to be a marble. That's part of the fun, is being creative and thinking of your own ways of doing things. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and move you down so you can see. So remember, we're going to try to aim the marble at this part of the trampoline. You can see that it does spring back quite nicely on my finger. I feel like if I was a person, I could hop on this. But remember, it wouldn't be safe for us to make one for a person, so we're just going to try the ball and the marble. So let's go ahead and give it a nice light throw and nice light drop and see how that works. Ready? 3, 2, and 1. Oh, that worked really well. I think we got 2 bounces on there. Should we try again? Maybe a little bit higher? I'll move this back so you guys can see. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Wow, that worked really well. I'm going to put this up so you can see. I'm going to try to drop it super high, and we're going to see how it works. And 3, 2, 1. That worked really well. I'm so surprised. I didn't think it was going to be strong enough to give us a good bounce. It shows that the gravity, when it works on something as taut as this, and taut means tight, where there's not a lot of motion in the bag, gives us a really good spring back. But I wonder if that hypothesis will remain true when we try it with the heavier ball. So this is a very squishy ball, and it's much heavier, so let's give this one a try. I think this is going to bounce. I have a good feeling about it. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, that bounced really well. Let's do a little bit higher. See if it still works. And 3, 2, 1. I'm so surprised. I didn't think that was gonna work. I'm gonna push the camera back just a little bit so you all can see. I'm gonna go really high. We're gonna see how big of a bounce we can get. 3, 2, and 1. Wow, that worked so well. My ball ran away. I'm gonna have to go get that back. Sorry, everyone. I'll be right back. Whew. My goodness. All right, I'm back. I got the ball. So that worked so well. My ball ran away. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at our hypotheses to see which ones we've covered. So the ball will fly higher with the tights. We still have to go back to that. I still think the tights might have caused the bag to go highest, or the ball to go as high as it's gone thus far. The plastic bag won't cause the ball to fly. I was wrong. That hypothesis wasn't true. It did fly. It flew so well I had to go chase it across my yard. I'm glad my dog didn't get it. He loves to chase balls. His name is Mojo, and he's 13 years old. That's a really old in dog years. So I'm really glad he didn't get it before I could get it. And a ball will go lower than a marble. I think so far that's been true. I think our marble has been going a lot higher than the ball. But I have big hopes for our last one. I think this one might work the best thus far. We've tried 2 on this one, but we only tried 1 on the square, so I think we should try this one for our last test. So I'm going to go ahead and take the tin foil off. I'm going to put it off to the side, give it a little crumble. I think actually this might be a good opportunity to test 2 different materials to see which one is going to work the best. We haven't had the opportunity to do that quite yet in our video, so this might be a great option. I think we should test these 2 to see which one is going to work better with our saran wrap. If it's going to be the shallow circle or the deeper square. You can always leave a comment and tell us which one you think is going to work better. So let's see. I'm going to move that camera up and I'm going to point you down so you can kind of watch what I'm doing. I'm going to take our saran wrap. We'll do one at a time. Remember, this is a good opportunity to make sure you're staying nice and safe. So I'm going to put the saran wrap near our bowl and carefully use the slider. Move it away. It's important with this to make sure your material is stretched tightly over your bowl or bucket, and that you tuck the ends in. And at the end, it should almost look like there's nothing there. I promise there's something there. You can see it when I touch it. But we stretched it nice and tight, so it actually looks almost like it's not there, but you can kind of see the trees in the background. Oh, and there I am. All right, I'll put that one off to the side real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with our square. Once again, remembering to keep my hands nice and safe. I'm going to stretch over. And with my slider, go ahead and give it a quick cut, keeping my fingers out of the way. And, ooh, the wind is making it fly all over the place. Pull that nice and tight. Make sure all the edges are secure. Alright. So, you can see we got it all nice and attached here. I'm going to try to smooth out some of those wrinkles. There we go. That looks nice and neat. Perfect. So, let's go ahead and put the 2 next to each other, like this. And we're going to test it using the same thing. So when you're trying to learn about one element, you only want to change one element at a time. So for example, in this experiment, the element we're testing is the saran wrap. So what we want to make sure is we're only changing one element. So the element we're going to change is the marble we use. So we want to use the same marble on each one to test the different reactions. So it wouldn't be fair if I tested the ball on the red circle and the marble on the blue square, because these are 2 different elements and they're going to have 2 different gravities and weights, and they're going to react differently. So to execute an experiment, we want to use the same thing and only change the items one at a time. So let's see. Consistency is important when we're doing science experiments. So I think I want to test the blue square first. So I'm going to drop the marble pretty low and see if it'll bounce. Oh, that worked well. So let's test the same thing over here. I think this one might spring up higher. I'm not sure why I think that, but I have a feeling it's going to work a little bit better. So let's see in 3, 2, 1. Wow, I think that one did bounce a little bit higher. You'll have to tell me in the comments which one you think went higher. So let's move you back just a little bit. And we're going to go up a little bit higher. We'll try the blue one again. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Wow, that worked really well. Let's try the same height over here. In 3, 2, 1. Wow, I think this red one is working much better than the blue one. I wonder why. It does look like the saran wrap is a little bit tighter over here, and I wonder if that's letting our materials fly a little bit better. I'm going to push you all back and move you up so you can see the bounce. And I'm going to test it from super high. You're not even going to be able to see my hand. In 3, 2, 1. Wow. That worked, but I want to see if I hold it up high, if this one will work better. Ready? And 3, 2, 1. Wow, that worked really well. Now, I think this might be the ultimate challenge. I'm not sure if this saran wrap is going to hold up to the ball or if it's just going to fall right in. What do you think? Should we try it? I'm going to try it nice and low just to give it a test. In 3, 2, 1. I was right. It pushed right through the saran wrap and caused it to pull off the side. I don't think that's going to work for much of a bounce. See? It just falls flat in there. Went right into the container. I wonder if the same thing's going to happen with our red one. Let's give it a try. 3, 2, 1. That one worked. That one bounced. Let's try it a little bit higher. That one also bounced, and one really high one. The plastic stayed on there that whole time. I think it's because it was a little bit tighter than the blue one. It worked better. So the plastic was able to push back the gravity of the ball to send it shooting back up into the air, whereas the blue one wasn't so tight, so it just fell in. The gravity was too much for it to hold on to. So that was a really interesting experiment. So let's see. Today we tested different containers, and we tested 4 different materials. We used tights, tin foil, plastic wrap, and what was our 4th one? A plastic bag. So we tested all 4 of those to see which one was going to work the best. You could leave us a comment to tell us which you think works the best. But I think if I was going to make a trampoline, I would use plastic wrap in a smaller, more shallow, circular shape. This one seemed to work the best. So let's go back and look at our hypotheses and just do a little review as to how these all went. So, hypothesis number 1, the ball will fly higher with the tights. I don't know. I'm not sure if the tights or the plastic wrap worked better. You'll have to let us know what you think, but I think that might have been a close tie. So my second hypothesis was that the plastic bag won't cause the ball to fly. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure I was wrong. I think it did fly, and I was very surprised. And the third one is that the ball will go lower than a marble. And I think that was true. On all of our tests, I think our marble didn't go as high as our ball. And I think that's just because the ball was heavier and it had more gravity working with it, so it just didn't work as well. And that's totally okay. That's the fun part about being a scientist, is coming to these conclusions so that the next time you do this experiment, you can make some changes. Maybe use a marble and a smaller bouncy ball, or if you had a bigger container, maybe you could use an even bigger ball, maybe a tennis ball or a ping pong ball. That would be a really interesting one, because a ping pong ball is hollow on the inside, so it's not very heavy. Lots of options. That's the fun part about being a scientist. So I'm actually going to leave you with a closing challenge. I think it's really fun when people challenge me to stretch my mind and to learn about new things, so I'm going to try to do the same thing for you. I challenge all my viewers to do this experiment. Maybe you could do it at home with mom or dad or brother or sister or anyone that watches you during the day or helps you out at home. And I want you to come up with your one container that we didn't talk about today to test and one material that we didn't test today to test on your own. And you can leave us a comment and tell us how it went, because I would love to learn more about how your experiments went, and if you had success, if your hypotheses were right, or if your hypothesis led you to think about something else after it was all done. I want to hear about it, and I want you to all go and be scientists and have a great time. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Get Your Play Online for Circus Week. I really hope you all tune in next week, because we have even more exciting activities. And check back in every other week of summer, because every week we have different really cool themes that I've created some really fun experiments for that I'm super excited to show you. So I really hope to see you all again next week, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.